Okay, and you should really listen and be very good during the whole assembly, right? All right. Well, Tucker is a judge in Collin County, and she presides over the 199th District Court. Now, Judge Tucker and I, we've known each other for many years, and I remember when my husband first met her, she was running for judge, and he came home and he said, I met a great lady, and I just immediately liked her. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yes, her name is Angela, which is my first name, and her last name is Tucker, which is our son's name. And he said he went up to her afterward and said, I just like you. So anyway, but we have come to know that that was an accurate assessment because Judge Tucker is fair. She's a godly lady. She loves the Lord. She's also a mom. She's married to her husband, James. How long have y'all been married?
11 years.
11 years. And so you're a patient woman, right? And maybe he's kind of a patient man, right? He's very patient. So she is also a history maker because she is the first African American judge in Collin County. So, yeah. So I like to go like that. Judge Tucker, can you tell us some of the types of law that you practiced?
Yes. Before taking the bench, I did civil, criminal, family, juvenile, and CPS. So a little bit of everything.
So she's got lots of experience, and she sees lots of families in her courtroom. And she's going to talk to us this morning about something very, very important. And I know many of your parents are here because actually, when we look at the issue of technology, it is something we're all learning about kind of at the same time. But one of the things that we care about as your school and as your parents is that you understand when your parents and I and Judge Tucker and Mr. Dibley, when we were all kids, we could kind of get ourselves in trouble, and it really didn't go anywhere very far. But with you guys, you're dealing with with technology and the internet, and so you can actually, without really thinking about it, just do kind of normal kid things and actually be breaking the law. And that is the last thing we want for you. What we want for you is a healthy life, a life that makes wise choices, and a life that blesses others with your choices. And so I'm so excited to have Judge Tucker here to speak with you guys this morning, and she's going to tell you some pretty serious stuff, so get ready and listen hard, and the Lord is going to bless you this morning. So let's all welcome Judge Angela Tucker.
Thank you. Is my mic on?
It's on. We may.
He's I think so. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to do something. All right. I'm going to put it right here. Up high.
All right. Now can you hear me? Can you guys in the back hear me? Okay. All right. So good morning again. And I know it's Crazy Sock Day, so happy Crazy Sock Day. I would have worn my crazy socks, but I have to go back to work today, and I think that would really look a little crazy at the courthouse with my crazy socks on, but I'm with you in spirit today. Thank you all for being here. I met many of your parents a few weeks ago, and they were excited about the information, and so they asked me to come share the information with you. I am not here to scare you, but if I do, that's a good thing. Okay, kind of the scared straight. I don't want you guys to go down the wrong road. I hope you never ever see me in a courtroom, and so that's my reason or one of my purposes for being here this morning. All right, before taking the bench, I've been a prosecutor, worked for the district attorney's office, I've been in private practice, and of course now I'm on the bench. On the bench, I hear civil cases, I hear family law cases, divorces, child custody, adoption, child support, all those sorts of things, and I also hear felony criminal matters. We have a juvenile judge in Collin County, but when she can't hear a case or she has to recuse herself, then the case comes to me because I'm the only other judge in Collin County on the district bench that actually practiced juvenile law before I took the bench. So I do handle those cases as well, and usually it's a really bad case because it's something that she couldn't sit on. She had to recuse herself. So I'm speaking from knowledge. So I have represented kids that were charged with juvenile offenses. I have prosecuted kids that were charged with juvenile offenses, and I've presided over cases where kids are charged with juvenile offenses. So I tell you that so you kind of know my background. All right, we're going to get started with the PowerPoint, and Mrs. Paxton told me that she pulled out some slides that were hidden, and so if I just skip over something, that means it wasn't supposed to be there. Okay. All right, so juvenile law, and I want you guys to understand this. It's kind of a hybrid. So the criminal part of it would be in the penal code, which is where all the crimes are. However, juvenile law is also civil, so the portions dealing with juveniles is found in the family code. Right to a jury, right to an attorney. And I pause right here for the parents in the room. If your child is charged with a juvenile offense, they must be represented by an attorney. You do not have a choice because the law requires that. So if they get into trouble, you have to hire a lawyer, or if you can't afford a lawyer, then the court will appoint a lawyer, but they cannot go to court without an attorney. They have the same rights against self-incrimination. Kids, that means you don't have to tell what you did. That's what your lawyer is there to protect you. And it's the same standard of proof in a criminal case. So if you're an adult and you go to trial, the standard of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. If you're a juvenile, you go to trial, it's the same. All right, so juvenile offenders, and I want to pause right here to make sure you guys understand this. Once you turn 10 years old, you can be arrested and taken to juvenile detention. 10. Okay, that freaks a lot of parents out because sometimes, and I've represented 10-year-olds, they look like babies coming in there with their little orange suit on, but at 10 you can be arrested. It's up to 16. Once you turn 17, so if it's your 17th birthday, if it's the day after your 17th birthday, you then go to adult jail. If you're arrested as a juvenile, parents in the room, no amount of money can bond your child out of jail. So if you're an adult and you get arrested, the judge will set a bond, say a $10,000 bond on this case. You can pay the $10,000, or you can go to bail bondsman and pay a 10% of it, and you can get out of jail on bond. If you're a juvenile, you do not. If you get arrested and you go to juvenile detention, you are there until a judge says you can go home. Okay, so it might be that the judge says you're a good kid, you've never been in trouble before, your parents look like they can handle the situation, I'll let you go home. Or it may be the judge says, no, the nature of your offense is too serious, we have to protect the public, and you have to stay until I say that you go home. And sometimes that's not until the case is over, so that can be months and months and months that you're in detention. And again, parents, I'm going to say, no amount of money can bond your child out of jail if they're in juvenile detention. Everybody understand that? All right, so not a place you want to go because it's one person that says whether you get to go home or whether you stay. And I shared with the parents earlier, usually the juvenile detention center does have a little discretion. If it's your first offense, if it's not a serious offense, they can say, we'll let this child go home before it gets to the judge. Usually the ones they look at are the kids that say, I'd just rather stay here. I don't want to go home. My parents are going to kill me. So for parents in the room, you want to be that parent. You want to be the parents that your kids are so afraid to go home because those are the ones they'll go, there you go, you guys can go home, okay? Oftentimes too, parents will try to teach their child a lesson and want them to stay. So I caution you against that. Parents, if that situation happens, you really need to get them out of the detention center and let them go home. Because if they are detained, you get a new detention hearing every 2 weeks. So parents, it's not like you say, I'm just going to leave them there over the weekend and show them a lesson, and then I'll go get them on Monday. If they have their detention hearing, 2 more weeks pass before they have another detention hearing. So you guys understand that? So if you're detained, you have to wait 2 weeks. So no school, no home, no cell phone, no nothing. You're in jail for 2 weeks until you have another hearing for the judge to say you can go home. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? Okay. All right, and I just made a list of kind of some general offenses and what they would be if you were an adult. So which ones are misdemeanors, which ones are felonies. Criminal trespass is a good one for a child that we see a lot. You're on someone's property that you shouldn't be on. Stalking, we don't see as much. Assault, family violence. I have represented kids where they were charged with assaulting their mother or their father. And parents, shocker in the room, if your child's arrested for assaulting you, yes, you are still required to get them a lawyer. They still cannot go to court without an attorney. So though you're the victim, you also are still responsible for getting an attorney for them. I'm having technical difficulties here. Here we go. There we go. Uh-oh. There we go. And this is what I was talking about. Though mom and dad in the room, you may say my child's never been in trouble, or for my kids in the room, hey, I'm a good kid, I just had a lapse of judgment. The judge still has to weigh that with protection of the public. So if the judge believes that in your home you're not being supervised properly, or if your parents are attempting to supervise you and you're kind of blowing them off, you're not doing what they tell you to do, and the judge believes that you're going to commit further offenses or be a threat to someone else, you'll stay in detention. All right, juvenile sanction guidelines. This is really important. When you are an adult, we have misdemeanors, we have felonies. In the juvenile system, there's still misdemeanors and felonies, but your punishment is based on this guideline. And so there's 6 sanction levels. 1 and 2 never really go to our level, to district court. That's usually skipping school, truancy, that sort of thing. That's normally handled at a lower court. When you get to district court, which is our level, you're normally starting at about a 3. So you see the minimum right there is already 6 to 12 months probation. So that's usually your minimum coming in. So even if you've never been in trouble before, and kids write this down, moms and dads write this down, there's something called DPRO, deferred prosecution. So if you've never been in trouble before and you got into trouble, unfortunately, you always want to ask for DPRO. The reason why is because these sanction guideline levels actually place you in the system, the juvenile system. There's something called DPRO, which is still a 6-month probation, so you still would have a probation officer, you would still have things that you would have to do on probation. However, if you successfully complete it, you never enter the juvenile system. You're never adjudicated. So as adults, we call them convictions. In the juvenile system, they're called adjudications. You never want to be adjudicated. A lot of kids think I can get in trouble at 10, 11, 12, and it won't affect me because when I turn 18, it goes away. A lot of parents still think that. That is no longer the law, and it hasn't been the law for quite some time. So if you get into trouble as a juvenile, that can follow you as an adult. All right, so I have individuals in my court, felony offenses, and they got into trouble as a juvenile, another felony offense. So let's say they have an aggravated robbery in my court. They had an aggravated robbery as a juvenile that they were adjudicated for. The aggravated robbery in my court is a first-degree felony. Minimum punishment is 5 years. Maximum punishment is 99 years or life. If the state can prove that juvenile conviction, okay, 15, 16, I got in trouble. If they can prove that that conviction happened, which isn't too hard to do, then my minimum goes from 5 to 25 to life. Okay, so it bumps it up. So please don't think if I get in trouble as a juvenile, it's going to disappear, it's not going to affect me. It can follow you for the rest of your life. Okay, everybody understand that? Parents with me? Okay, so it doesn't magically disappear at 18. But if you get DPRO, you don't officially enter because it's not an adjudication. If you successfully complete that, then that doesn't follow you. Okay, so deferred prosecution if you get in trouble, but no one in here is going to get in trouble, so you're just sharing this information with friends, right? Okay. All right, juvenile detention, I went over 10 to 16. You're not entitled to bail. I went over that. And here it says you're entitled to a finding of probable cause within 48 hours. So if you get arrested over the weekend, they're going to send paperwork to your judge and she's going to sign off on it saying there's probable cause, but you still sit there. So if you get in trouble, let's say you get arrested Friday at school, you're in custody all weekend because the next detention hearing isn't until Monday afternoon. So they do them Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock. So if you have the misfortune of getting arrested on Saturday, you're there until you go in front of the judge on Monday. All right, registration as a sex offender. Again, this is in the penal code. And some of the things I'm going over with you today could land you into this category. Now, If you, and I'll go over that in a second, what the offenses are, but you'll see possession of child porn, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about when we're talking about how you can get in trouble with technology and innocently or not knowing you can get in trouble. But you will be required to register as a sex offender. If you get in trouble as a juvenile and you have a requirement to register, you have to register up to 10 years after you exit the system. So if you have 2 years of probation, you finish your probation, you still have to register for 10 years after that. Okay, so 10 years after your last act with the juvenile system. If you're an adult, remember which I said starts at what age? 17. So at 17, it's registration for life, and it never, ever, ever goes away. Okay, so understand that. And this can affect you with college, this can affect where you live, this can affect your job, all sorts of things. Okay, so this is very important. We got the sound.
Compound B, 26.7% by weight. Compound B.
Once you post your image online, you can't take it back. Anyone can see it. Family, friends, anyone. Remember, think before you post.
Okay, so this is one of the first issues we're running into with kids your age, is that sometimes you think it's funny, sometimes it's a joke, or sometimes you're just not thinking and you put things out there, and so it never goes away. Sometimes you think, I can delete it, I can take it down, and no one can find it. People find it. In my court, we deal with what's called online solicitation, where we have police officers that act like they are kids, and they kind of work undercover online to find individuals that are searching for kids online to do bad things or say bad things or meet up with them to abduct them, those sorts of things. And so you guys need to know that actually happens. And so that's why we're going over why you're not always safe online and how to be safe online. And so when I'm in a court room, sometimes the predators are very sophisticated and they think they've hidden all the data, no one can find it, they've used whoop-de-doo with servers, all these things, but we have law enforcement that can pull everything, okay, and they're prosecuted for that. So don't think just because I delete it that it's gone, because you don't know who saw it before then, you don't know who printed it, any of those things, okay? So once it's out there, it's out there. So I'm saying that to my girls and to my boys. I'm not just looking at my girls, but this was showing you, don't think it just goes away. All right, so here we go. Parents, close your eyes. We're talking about sexting this morning. And so it's a combination of texting and sex, whereby sexually explicit texts or photos are sent via cell phone. And what we see most times are photos with this age group. And so teen sexting, obviously we're talking about your age group. Not to say adults don't do it, but we're focusing on the teen sexting.
Jessie Logan was full of life. She was 18 years old and ready to graduate from high school, but a foolish mistake changed her world and her family's.
She snapped. It was just too much for an 18-year-old girl to go through.
We met Jessie's mother, Cynthia, last May. Jessie agreed to do a story with us about kids using their cell phones to take nude pictures of themselves. Jessie did it, thinking only her boyfriend would see it. But in the world of technology and kids being cruel, Jessie's private picture was sent to hundreds of cell phones to schools all over the city for everyone to see. We protected her identity, but she was clearly humiliated.
I still get harassed and stuff, and I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that no one else will ever have to go through this again.
But at home, at school, with her friends, the teasing and taunting continued long after our interview. Cynthia calls it torture.
She was called filthy names. things were thrown at her.
It was so bad, Jessie started skipping school.
I took her car away, and when I dropped her off, somebody would take her out, or she would hide all day in school.
Even though her grades plummeted, Jessie silenced the laughter and graduated with her class at Sycamore High School. Cynthia thought finally that one silly picture was behind them.
Every single place she went, they knew about that picture. They saw the picture, they knew about the picture.
So the teasing continued.
It's abuse. She was abused.
2 months after our interview, Jessie went to a funeral of a teenager who committed suicide. She came home and did the same thing.
And I scanned the room, and her closet doors were open. And I walked over into her room and saw her hanging. The cell phone was in the middle of the floor.
It started with that cell phone, but Cynthia says it never should have ended this way.
The police department didn't protect her. The school didn't protect her. She had no one.
5 teenagers were involved with sending out Jessie's picture, but none of them were ever charged. Since then, the problem with teens sending nude pictures has gotten so bad, the Montgomery Police Department recently charged one student for forwarding a nude video of a girl.
Almost 8 months later, my daughter is buried in the ground. Are you kidding me? Where were you?
The school resource officer did not want to go on camera, but insists Jessie didn't want charges to be filed for fear she'd be harassed even more. He also says he did take Jessie's case to the prosecutor, but because she was 18, they couldn't charge the other students even if they wanted to. As for Sycamore High School,
why didn't you send out notices to parents? Where were you?
The superintendent says the school didn't take disciplinary action because the picture wasn't taken on school property. She insists that Jessie was offered counseling and they were doing everything they could to help her, and later warned parents about the growing problem with cell phones during a school forum. But Cynthia insists it wasn't enough.
But to have a nude photo being disseminated throughout the school of your child, how would you feel as a parent? Wouldn't you want other parents to know?
As painful as it is, Cynthia wants parents and students to know what happened so it doesn't happen again. Her only child is gone.
And she said, "I love you, Madre." I said, "I love you, baby. And I'll see you soon."
All she has now are the memories.
Okay, so a few things about that video. One, I want you to see how serious this is on both sides. When I talked to the head of our juvenile probation in Collin County, he tells me this is the #1 problem we are having right now with this age group. Okay, so this is very real, parents. It is happening whether we know that it's happening or not. In this case, how old was the girl? Okay, so you heard them say they didn't press charges because she was 18. Most of your friends, though, aren't going to be 18. So girls in the room, I know that we are being taught because I know Miss Paxton, I know what type of school this is, I know what homes you come from, but sometimes we have lapses in judgment. Sometimes boys will pressure girls and the girl thinks, okay, I'm going to send it to just him. Understand, if it goes to him, it is going somewhere else. Sometimes for 2 reasons. One, in our day and age, dads in the room, there might have been a girly magazine and you would kind of hide it or the boys would kind of pass it. Well, now we have cell phones. So it's the same concept, however, it goes viral very quickly. It's not sneaking the dirty magazine around or the boys sharing it. Now they just hit send on their phone and it's all over school, which is what happened to this girl. She thought it was just going to be sent to the boy, which girls, not a good idea. But 2, the boy, acting probably his age, send it out to other people. So it either happens that way or the person receives it and they keep it until they break up or the boy gets mad and then he sends it out to humiliate the girl. So girls, we're not going to do it, right? So don't send it. Do not send it. Boys, if a girl, and understand I've represented girls and boys in juvenile, Sometimes the boy, hey, he didn't ask for it. The girl just sent it. It popped up on his phone, and he sends it to someone else. So to my boys in the room, if you get a nude picture or a picture that's inappropriate, the first thing I want you to do, you can show it to your parent, but I want it deleted from your phone, all right? If you have the picture on your phone and someone says, hey, James has this picture on his phone and you're at school, James is in possession of child porn, right? Okay, he's committed an offense. Remember we talked about registered sex offender. All right, so you have it on your phone, school resource officer sees it, or a principal or a teacher, it's on your phone, you're in possession of it, you can be charged, all right? The girl that sent the picture, not as much happens to her legally, but I wanted to show you this video, girls, so you can see what happens to you with your reputation. And my grandmother used to always tell me, you only have one, and once it's ruined, it's ruined. So you don't want to go down that road either, because you see what happened to this girl, how humiliated she was. So from a criminal standpoint though, my boys, you delete it, you can show it to a parent, so the parent is your witness, and then it needs to come off your phone. So we have possession of child porn if it's on your phone, right? Once you send it to your friends, then you're distributing child pornography. Another offense. Okay, so all my boys got that? Girls, same thing. If you're being a mean girl and you're sending the picture out to other girls to humiliate another one, you can be charged as well. But typically what we're seeing in the juvenile system is our boys are the ones that are getting caught up in this, and sometimes they didn't even ask for the picture, the girl just sent it. So I think the moms in the room would say that's not a girl they want you to be around anyway. But if it happens, you need to do what? Delete. Delete, delete, delete. This very thing happened to my daughter. One of the volleyball players on the team, a boy dared her, she says, to do this video. She did the video and it came from a different high school, but it was all over that high school, and it quickly made its way to our school. Well, when the moms found out about it, we said we need to look at that video so we can take it to the coach, because this is not appropriate. We don't want our girls associated with this. She's on the volleyball team. We don't want them to think all our girls are this way. Because I had talked to all of the girls, I couldn't find the video because they all had done what? Delete it. Mine knew. She didn't even open it. As soon as she got it, it's off the phone, because if you get caught with it on your phone at school, you're in a ton of trouble. All right, everybody understand that? All right. All right, criminal acts. This is how we're seeing it come in from the juvenile standpoint: possession or promotion of child pornography, obscenity charges, indecency, harassment, display of harmful material to a minor, sex offender registration, which I already went over. And so we really are having to focus on education awareness with parents, because I admit not every single day do I go through the pictures on the phone of my daughter, but parents, we need to be aware of what's on there, because again, we have to remember that you guys have kid brains, and so sometimes the things that you do, you may not have intended for the result to be that you're in an orange jumpsuit in juvenile, but sometimes that's the unintended consequence, which is why I'm talking to you today, because I don't want you to get there. All right, so in 2010, we knew our Attorney General was Greg Abbott, but in 2015, we know our Attorney General is Ken Paxton. All right, and so he made sure that we started to enforce this, and so it's also being enforced in Collin County. So I don't want parents to think that you're going to say, it's just a harmless picture, it's no big deal, nothing's going to happen. Our district attorney's office prosecutes these cases. Going back to what I said, the head of juvenile probation in Collin County is telling me this is the hottest crime right now for this age group. So it is being prosecuted. All right, teen sexting is a sex offense. And again, we have a sex offender counselor in Collin County, and parents, if you're wondering why everything is exploding, it's because of the internet. We didn't have it when we were kids, but you guys have it. Everything's accessible, and so sometimes things pop up on your computer or your phone that you didn't intend to pop up on your phone, and so that's sometimes how it gets started. So we have to encourage you guys to protect yourselves from what you're seeing. So don't go on sites that you're not familiar with, and don't accept things from people that you don't know. And so you'll see at the bottom, teen asking a girlfriend to send them a nude picture, you should assume they've accessed porn on the internet. So mom and dad, we cannot have our heads buried in the sand. All of this is what is going on, and it's very shocking sometimes to a parent. All right, what about sexting? Sending sexually explicit texts or photos on the cell phone. Everybody should have that down now. Parents, I know the kids already know it. You should catch up with us and know that's what sexting is. So a survey has found that 1 in 5 teens say that they've either sent or posted nude or semi-nude pictures or video of themselves. That's 20%. All right, so you guys, if that has happened, don't ever do it again, and for all the reasons that I'm telling you, okay? So before maybe you didn't know or you thought it was harmless, I'm telling you that it's not harmless for many, many reasons. All right, you may already know this. 88% of teens own their own cell phone. I think my daughter got hers when she was roughly about 10. So you see that. Most get their first cell phone between 10 and 11. And if parents have daughters, girls in the room, I think we all can agree with this. 86% of girls text friends many times a day. My daughter is always on her cell phone. My 7-year-old is asking for one. I'm like, no. But my oldest one, she is always on the cell phone. 64% of boys do the same. So boys, not as much talking, just like normal, but a lot on the cell phone. They're calling your friends. We know that. The average teenager sends 3,339 texts per month. That's a lot of texting. But I believe in this room, that's probably accurate. You guys agree? Yeah. Okay, so why are you guys sexting? To get attention. Sometimes you'll say, I'm sending you this special present to be like the popular girls. And I know that they talk to you guys about this in school. Being the popular girl in school is not always the best thing, because sometimes the girl is popular for a reason that we really don't want to be popular for. All right, so sending those pictures is not going to make you popular. We saw that in the video. Define a boyfriend. If a boy won't be your boyfriend because you won't send him nude photos, you don't need him. Goodbye, good riddance, right? Same thing with my boys. If a girl is sending you those pictures, hey, I don't want to be involved in any of that. I need to move on to the next girl. Peer pressure, revenge after a breakup, which is what I said. Sometimes the boys will hold it, and then when the girl breaks up or they get angry, they're sending it out, or another girl will send it out. You think it will remain private? We already talked about it won't, because I have law enforcement that can find anything. And I want to pause for a second on that. You guys are still young, but in a few years you're going to start your college prep, that sort of thing. My daughter plays volleyball. I know of 2 girls this season that lost D1 scholarships because of what was online. Okay? And so do not think it's going to remain private. And a lot of colleges now are asking for your Twitter, your Facebook, all those things, and they're going on and they're reading what you have on there. Okay, so if you have inappropriate pictures or inappropriate comments, some colleges are not taking you, and the girls that already had D1 scholarships, which is top of the line scholarships, those are being taken because the coach is saying, I don't want that type of girl on my team or on my campus. Okay, so it's very important. So it's not just here we're talking about. Remember I said we're talking now all the way to the future, because what you do now can affect your future. All right, other consequences. Criminal charges may not be the worst. Photos might end up in the hands of potential employer or college admissions. That's what I was just talking about. And sexting has been linked to suicide. I showed you that video so that you can see that that's actually happening. All right, think before you send. We already talked about that. Don't assume anything you send or post will remain private. There is no changing your mind. So once you send it, it's theirs. It's gone. So think about it before you send it. And if you don't think it's a good idea, or if you wouldn't want mom and dad to see it, don't send it. All right? Don't give in to peer pressure. That's very important. Consider the other person's reaction. That's what I'm talking about. Girls, when they're sending pictures to boys and the boy didn't even ask for it. Okay, you've put him in a really bad position now, because now he has it on his phone and he can get in trouble. All right, what do you do with the sex? Boys. What do we do? Number 1, delete it. So we're deleting the picture. Like I said, tell your parents, tell the person not to send you those anymore. Okay, hey, you're jamming me up here. You're getting me in trouble. Do not send that to my phone. And don't forward it to anyone. And we already talked about why, right? That's another criminal offense. So the first criminal offense is when you got it and it was on your phone. You send it to someone else. You already have 2 criminal offenses. 2, right? From the same photo. Cyberbullying. It's mainly teens between the age of 13 or 17. We're using the internet, cell phones. You guys know there's social media. It's common among teens in this age group. And parents in our day and age, if we had a bully at school, when we left the bully. Nowadays, the kids can't get away from it because they all have cell phones. and so they bully online, indirectly and directly. They use other friends to bully them online, and so this is very, very important. All right, so how many people heard of Megan Meyer? Okay, this is the case where there was actually a mom that gave a whole new meaning to the word mean girls, right? So a teenager's mother posed like she was a boy named Josh online, and Megan thought it was a boy that was interested in her, and she really liked him. Well, the mean mom, acting like she was Josh, started to send really ugly, hateful messages to Megan, and Megan ended up killing herself. And it was another mom in the community. They lived 4 houses down. I thought that was crazy when I read this story. 4 houses down, this mom is doing this to this child. Once the child commits suicide, she still doesn't come clean. Another mom in the neighborhood outs her. And so this family pushed for legislation regarding cyberbullying. And so I tell this to you guys because I think sometimes you think maybe parents don't understand. It's very real. And parents, I want you to understand that this is very real. This is how it is affecting our children. And so kids, I want you to know that we understand cyberbullying is very important, is very serious. The same way we talk about bullying in school, bullying in the classroom, it's even more so online. All right, dangers. 58% of kids admit, can't even read that someone has said mean or hurtful things to them online. Okay, they admit to having someone mean or hurtful online, saying something to someone else online that's hurtful. 42% grades 4 through 8, so I'm hitting this section right here. They've been bullied online. Over 3,000 hate sites on the internet. Now that just kind of blew me away, and as Christians, that should really bother us. Really, really bother us that it's that much hate being displayed out there, but understand, parents, that's what's coming to our kids. So we have to really watch that. All right, who are cyber bullies? Your friends, you, parents of classmates. I talked about Megan's case. Everyone. So don't be the mean girl, don't be the mean guy. Remember, everyone has feelings, and I showed you those videos so you can see that there is consequences for your words. So don't think that you can just be anonymous, because 1, you aren't online, but 2, you can say something so hurtful that someone feels like their life isn't worth living, and we certainly don't want that. And just kind of a range of emotions with bullying. It's the same as you have a bully in school. Same with when you're online. The video we watched, you saw how humiliated she was, how embarrassed she was. She stopped going to school because kids were making fun of her, laughing, that sort of thing. All right, so you say, why in the world would a judge care about bullying? We hear that at school, right? Why are you worried about it? So we talked about Columbine, okay? That's where it starts. Sometimes my daughter will say, Mom, I'm in a class with a kid that looks like he's just going to kill all of us. He looks crazy. And I'm like, be very nice to that child. Be very nice to that child, all right? And it's sad, parents, that we have to have that conversation now. But when we see things like this on the news, we have to be thankful that our child was not in that school, and we have to pray that it doesn't ever happen with our kids. And so I tell her, you pray for that child, you be nice to that child, don't you ever say a mean word to that child, all right? So remember that.
It was a modern-day West Side Story. 2 groups of teenage boys texting, taunting, and looking for a fight. That brawl ended in death, and now the young man charged with murder has made a deal. Fox 2's Amy Lang has more on the plea and the prison time that comes with it.
Justin Husson died 4 months ago, a fatal blow to the back of his head with a golf club. His accused killer claimed self-defense, but now he's taken a plea deal that will send him to prison for at least 5 years.
18-year-old Robert Lowry was supposed to go on trial for the murder of Justin Husson, the Wixom teen who died September 1st after Lowry hit him in the head with a golf club during a brawl between 2 groups of boys who'd been texting and taunting each other. Lowry's attorney says he didn't bring a weapon to the fight that night, but ended up with one. He was charged with murder and was claiming self-defense, but on Wednesday he pled no contest to involuntary manslaughter and will spend 5 to 15 years in prison.
He could never have imagined that something like this would have occurred, and consequently this is where he is right now.
Lowry's lawyer Steve Schwartz says his client will apologize to Justin's family when he's sentenced January 28th.
He's very contrite, very remorseful. Everybody's been hurt and or destroyed by this, and again, he'll he will definitely apologize come sentence time.
Lowry will be eligible for parole at the age of 23. Fox 2 legal analyst Charlie Langton says there are no winners here. One young man gone, another going to prison. A lesson for all young people in our violent society about the very real and permanent consequences of their actions.
You can't just go ahead and shoot people, swing golf clubs, be so reckless, because if you do and you're caught, you're just going to pay the price. Simple as that.
In Southfield, Amy Lang, Fox 2 News.
All right, so you guys, the girls and the boys didn't think I was picking on the girls. I showed that for the boys because boys assert themselves in different ways. But I wanted you to see how the cyberbullying affects the boys too. So all of this started online. It played out differently, but it started online. And so a lot of times people will talk bigger and be big when they're online. And that's even for adults. Someone will send you an email and say things that they never would have said face to face. And so I wanted the boys to see that this is how it ends up. I'm going to whiz through the next few slides because I want to make sure I get to the last slide. Not to scare you again, but just to keep you from ever coming to see me for professional reasons. All right, internet crimes against children. This is the other reason I want to talk to you guys. Because there are people online that are looking for you to harm you. One of the main things that we have going on right now is the girls from about 11 to 16 that are being taken for sex trafficking. Have you guys talked about sex trafficking? Do you know what I mean? All right, so we have groups of people, bad people, that are taking girls and some boys and forcing them into what we would consider kind of a slave trade. And that's happening all over the country, and also in Collin County. And so we want to make sure that you're safe online. The way that they are getting to you is through your cell phones and through the internet. Okay, so if you're at the mall and someone asks for your cell phone number and you don't know, don't give them your cell phone number. Okay, don't give them your email address, don't give them information about you. One of the main things we see is they will approach you in the mall and say, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, I have this modeling company, I want you to come model for me, let me take down your information and I'll call your parents. And so they start to text with you and form a relationship with you, and you're texting and they're getting information about you, where you live, who's in your home, do you have a mom and dad in the home, are you with a single parent, all those sorts of things. And they hone in on kids that may be in a bad spot right then. Maybe things aren't going great at home, and so they will kind of work on you, and try to get you away from your home, snatch you, and in a matter of hours you are on a plane sometimes far, far away. Okay, and so the other thing we see is when I talked about they come up to you and say they want you to model, they'll give you a card. The card is laced with something that is going to make you get very groggy, very sleepy, and they will take you out of the mall. So my daughter, my 15-year-old now, she won't even talk to people in the mall. She just walks really fast. When people are, oh, I don't want anything, you know, they're trying to give her the little food samples. I don't want any food samples, okay? So we don't have to be at that extent, but don't talk to people at the mall that you don't know. Don't take any business card, none of that, okay? So I tell my daughter the boogeyman does actually exist, and I see him in court all the time, all right? All right, children on the internet, and I know you guys hate being called children, kids on the internet. So these are the things that are happening on the internet. This is what I'm talking about, sexual solicitation. When I say in my court, I have cases all the time, online solicitation, where the police act like they're a 13 or 14-year-old girl, and there are men that try to meet up with them, to abduct them, to do things to them that they should not be doing. So that really happens. So you have to keep yourself safe online, okay? If someone approaches you online, it's the same thing as when your parents say, stranger danger, right? Don't go up to a car and take candy. Don't talk to a stranger you don't know. It's the same concept online. But you guys feel safe because you think they're in my phone, they're in my computer, they can't get to me. But these people make a living on getting to you. Okay? So it's the same thing. If you don't know them, stay away from them. All right, dangers to you online. This is what I'm talking about. 60% of teens say they've received an IM from a stranger. 56% have more than one email address. And I consider myself to kind of be on top of things. Parents, I will share with you, my daughter had an extra email address I didn't know of. It's like, where'd that come from? I thought I was on top of things. So just kind of questions to file away in your mind, just to kind of double check, you know, bring up now and then. How many email addresses do you have? All right. Internet-related sexual abuse, this is what I'm talking about. with meeting strangers online. Okay, so you see the numbers for family member or acquaintance, meaning a child is sexually abused by someone they know. And then you see here the 14 to 17, really 13 to 17, you start to see internet victims, and the correlation is because you guys start to be more on your phones and your internet, on the internet, those ages. So you see how many internet initiated victims there are. So they're meeting you online. So that's what I say, stranger danger, even online. Simple rule, that's what I talked about. Don't take candy from strangers. Don't talk to people you don't know. Walk real fast at the mall, girls, right? Get your strut on. They're trying to stop you. Yes, I am beautiful. Yes, I would love to model, but not for you. I'm moving on. All right. Okay, have to keep you guys awake. It's 8 a.m., right? All right. So these are dangers. Dangers without supervision online. We talked about the photographs and sending and receiving text messages. Parents, all of these games have ways for predators to access your kids even when you think your kids are upstairs in the game room just playing games. All right? This is important on the YouTube. A lot of kids are posting videos on YouTube, so I wanted to point this out too, to be very, very careful. Sometimes, like I said, it's a prank or it's a joke, but it's out there, and so don't post those either, guys. This I put on here because some of the suspects are able to locate the kids or get driving directions to the home using the Google Earth. And so just like you guys are really good with technology, you think your parents aren't, there are predators out there that are very good with technology too, and this is how they're finding some of their victims, because you give them too much information. If they know what school you go to, they know what your school mascot is, they know what city you're in, they can put 2 and 2 together. So don't give out information to people you don't know. Blogs, kind of the same thing. What we're seeing here is kids are giving out too much personal information. So if you blog, don't give anything that's personal to you or to your family. Okay, same thing. Kids are giving their names, their ages. Some give their email addresses, which if they know how to go in and to get your data there. So just be careful with that. Online relationships. I like this one. It says online dating, you're doing it wrong. They're sitting next to each other with their laptops, which is not really what online dating is. But we're seeing this even on the adult side. And I told you guys that I hear a lot of divorce cases. I cannot tell you how many divorce cases I'm hearing now that started on this online dating. So let's just do good old-fashioned with your parents supervising. Old-fashioned courting is working. The online dating, the people are meeting and they're divorcing like 2 months later. So yes, sir.
Is there a difference between like someone you've met and like someone you've actually met in real life, but they have but their home is like in a different country, and you have to like
Okay, oh, that's not online. He's saying is that if you've met the person before but they live in another country, is that kind of online dating? And no, these are usually people that don't know each other and they meet online. Okay, so that's not working out for you. All right. This is what I wanted to show you guys, because this is what happens when they start to text you or contact you via the internet. They don't want you to tell your parents. Anybody that doesn't want you to tell your parents, or we're going to keep this secret, or it's our own little private sessions, then you need to get away from that person. All right, this is what we talked about, protecting yourself online. If you wouldn't go up to their car, then you don't go up to them on the internet. Don't give out your personal information. This is what I'm talking about. Your name, your age, your address, your phone number. Don't give out any of that to someone you don't know. Your parents' name, your school, because they have ways of finding you, right? So much stuff online now. Choose, and we see this all the time on my online solicitation cases. Do not choose something that says your name and your age. So Hot Jenny 12F, we think Jenny, who's hot, is 12, right? So we don't want that.
All rise, District Court, 417, now in session. The Honorable Judge Cindy Wheelis presiding.
I'll call cause number 417-708-3010 in the matter of CG.
Put your hands behind your back.
All right, I showed you guys that. That is a real courtroom in Collin County, real judge in Collin County. The girl is not an actual girl because juveniles are protected. Their identity is protected. And so obviously we wouldn't put a real child on there. But that is the way that the kids are taken in. That door that closed, that's actually the door where the kids are taken and down the elevator into the juvenile detention center. So if I haven't said something this morning that made it real to you, I wanted to end with that video so that it makes it real for you. So 10 to 16, that is where you would go. You would be handcuffed and taken out. So any other questions? All right, thank you guys for having me. Oh.
All right. Well, you know Ms. Paxton has something to say after that, right? Thank you, Judge Tucker.
Yes.
I appreciate what you do, and I'm so grateful to know that there's someone like you that loves kids because you grew up knowing what it means to love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and your mind and your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes.
And then your work, that's what you're doing. And you're helping protect our community, and you have a hard job. I know it breaks your heart a lot of times to see the things that you see, and I appreciate that you're not just on the back end of that stuff, but that you're on the front end of it, and you're willing to spend your morning and come out here and share with these kids because you love them, and you don't want bad things for them and for their family. So let's all thank Judge Tucker one more time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want to tell you this. I'm the counselor. I know a lot of stuff. I do. And one of the things that I'm going to tell you guys, and you know this, some of you guys, you have a relationship online with somebody that your parents don't know about. And some of you guys, you know that your friends are doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And some of you guys are doing some things that you shouldn't be doing. And you need to understand that because we love you, we want you to see the reality. Because we don't want this to happen to you. We want you to grow up have a healthy life ahead of you with all the options that God has for you open to you. Some of you guys are not 13, but you have social media accounts. Okay? Some of you enjoy pranking other kids, and you don't realize that when you post something with somebody else's name and phone number, that you're committing identity theft. Okay? So you've got to think. And you know what? In a way, it's a little unfair. The things that you have to think about at your age, the consequences. Like I said, your parents and I, we could kind of do dumb things, and the consequences weren't quite so heavy because the impact wasn't so heavy. But it's the world you live in, boys and girls. And I want you to know that the Lord is on your side. So be a friend and help your friends do the right thing. And no matter where you are, whether you're online, whether you're on your phone, that thing is a tool that God wants you to use for good. You use your phone, your computer, to love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That has been good advice for millennia. Okay? And God knows what He's talking about. Let me pray for us, and then I'll give you some instructions for dismissal. Father, I thank you so much that you love us enough to tell us the truth. Lord, I pray that you would bless Judge Tucker today as she goes about her work, as she interacts with her colleagues, as she interacts with the people that come into her courtroom. Lord, I pray that you bless her family. Lord, I pray that you would help us as a result of this morning to be wiser and to be better friends to one another. And Lord, if we are in a bad place, Lord, help us to have the courage, give us courage to go talk to someone, to our teacher, to me, to a parent, and say, I need some help. Because we know that you will help us if we ask for help. Father, I pray that this would bear fruit in our lives and help us to make wise choices and to be loving friends. And it is in the name of Jesus, who saves us and who keeps us saved and who is coming again, that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Instructions are, parents, we want you to be safe, so I'm going to let you dismiss first.